information for like out in the world podcast, which will probably kill me. But
Hello, lovely listeners, and welcome back to Parenthood. I'm your host, Neha Garg, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you join us today. This is the space where we dive deep into the real, raw, and beautiful journey of parenthood, sharing stories that resonate with the heart and soul of every parent out there. Today's episode is incredibly special because we have with us someone who's not only a powerhouse mom, but also a thoughtful and candid individual who has navigated the complex journey of parenthood with grace and grit. I'm thrilled to introduce you all to Vaishnavi. She is the proud mom of two beautiful kids, Meera, who's 9, and Advait, who's 2.5. She's also the founder of The Nestry, a much cherished online space for premium maternity and children's brands, though she is currently on a much deserved break, figuring out her next steps. But what makes Vaishnavi's story particularly captivating is her deep personal journey into motherhood. From the initial turbulence with her firstborn Meera blossoming into something truly special to raising her second child Advait, who she says is raising himself, a sentiment I'm sure many of us can relate to. And her partner Vishwanathan, whom she describes as the calm, kind, and the better parent most of the time, has been by her side, walking this journey along with her. We'll hear more about their co parenting dynamic, birth stories, and how they tackle the work life balance struggles we all know too well. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Vaishnavi, it's so wonderful to have you here. Thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us.
Thank you so much, Neha, for inviting me to this. Believe it or not, this is my first podcast. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, and I really can't believe this is your first podcast appearance.
It is. It is.
Chalo, then we are glad to be, the people who are welcoming you into this foray. Let's start with something light and fun. If you were to describe yourself in just 3 words or phrases, what would they be and why?
Okay, this is um, a tricky one. I always go for, I'll just talk about my core values, and
Yes,
that's how
please.
I describe myself. One is certainly witty and funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's me. Second is honest to a fault.
Yeah.
I'm literally every time I try to ever even try a white lie, I get caught. So like I'm incapable. Okay. So that is number two. And three is warm. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
the three words that I would
Yeah.
use to kind of
See,
describe myself.
I totally love that. And now, if you were to assume that your life were a storybook, what would be its title and where are you in it currently?
I think the title of the book would be Going with the Flow.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Or Adrift.
Yeah.
One of those would be the title, because that's what I feel like I've always gone with the flow, and the chapter I'm at right now is trying to get some purpose into the flow. Right, like trying to find some direction. So for the first time I feel like, since Nestry, I feel like I need to find
Yeah.
what is it that I want to do, and it's been a very soul searching journey, I would say, for the last
Yeah.
5 months. It's
Yeah.
been a lot of like introspection and a lot of hiding away and thinking. But yeah, so that's where I am.
Yeah, yeah. I'm I'm actually so curious about your story, Vaishnavi, because in a way we've seen the more public side of you, and this is the first time that we are getting to see the private side of you. So can you let us in your family a bit, or tell us about your children? Tell us a bit about Meera, who's 9, and Advait, who's 2.5. How would you describe their personalities?
Um, Okay. So we have a really, really small family. Like we're just four of us. Even if I look at my extended family on both mine and my husband's side, it's not very large. The fun thing about me and Vishy is that both of us have grown up, living in different cities. He comes from an army background. Both my parents are surprise, surprise bankers, Tamilians. So yeah, they're both bankers. So we've both lived in different cities. So we've really enjoyed that experience, right, as kids. And we are those people who are, in fact, I get like this itch every 3, 4 years to kind of shift from wherever we are staying,
Yeah.
right? So that's us. But our kids, so Meera is 9 years old. She was born in Bombay. She's lived in 7 houses
Wow.
in her 9 years. And she has moved okay, I'm not going to count the first school. She just went there for like a few weeks. So she's been to 3 schools already.
Wow.
So to say the least, Meera made us the parents that we are.
Uh-huh.
She is the kindest, sweetest, easiest child on the planet. Okay. Um, I'd say that she was born to us to help me become more confident. She was born to help me become more of an advocate for myself and for her. I was chronically like very conflict averse. I
Mm-hmm.
was very like underconfident. But from the time Meera was born, I became more vocal for myself, for her.
Yeah.
So she taught me all those things. But as a child, the easiest child, right? Like she's so sweet, so empathetic, and I think that has come along with her till the time that she's 9 years old. Um, like everyone who'll meet her will say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
She's so caring, right?
Yeah.
That's Meera. And she loves reading. Okay, she
Wow.
absolutely loves reading. This was the child I was like, oh, I'm going to raise a reader. I was part of all these Facebook groups. I bought all these books, and she took to it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
From the time that she was like, I think 6, 7 months, the only thing that would keep her in, no, that there were two things that kept her in one place. One was my breast, which was
Yeah.
because I'm breastfeeding her till she's 3, and the second thing was books.
Yeah.
Right? She would sit in one place for like an hour and a half. It doesn't matter. Just keep reading. Like we'd have like this huge pile of already read books, and that'd be like, so that has carried forward,
Yeah.
right? So the one thing that still keeps her in one place is still books,
Wow.
right? So apart from that, she's a very happy-go-lucky kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it, right? And of course loves princesses, unicorns, all things pink, and like stands weirdly to show that she's very stylish. That's Meera, and she's funny, right? And that's Meera, and basically easy kid, the easiest kid, like
Yeah.
almost made to order for us to figure this gig out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is Meera. Advait was born much later, like a long gap, 7 years gap between both the kids. Was I was expecting at like the most high stress time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I cannot even tell you the amount of pressure there was. We were in the middle of like a tough fundraise, and it was a really, really tough time. Uh, you know, uh, I was full term. I was doing pitches. In fact, I did a pitch, and then I was in early labor. Then we went to the
Oh,
hospital, right?
oh,
So that was Advait. I got a maternity break of a grand sum of like maybe 5 days,
wow.
uh, not more than that. So the second time around, and it was really tough. Like, and there were some things that happened, and it was really, really tough. And then we got him home, but like I said, he's pretty much been raising himself. But I also have a lot more of the family village, I would
Yeah.
say, this time around. The previous time with Meera, it was completely on our own. Like we figured it out on our own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were like super particular that we do it on our own,
Yeah.
right? But this time around, I really needed the help, and there is no shame in asking for help. And my parents moved to Bangalore. They don't live in the same house, but they live in the same apartment complex in a different house. So I have more of a family
Yeah.
village, so to say. And Bangalore is also south. So like we also have lots of like extended family, more
Yeah.
friends around. So Adu has more of that
Yeah.
going for him, which Meera didn't have. So I would say he's actually raising himself. And also like with my first daughter, I would have like 100 photos of her breathing
Yeah.
or like just sleeping or just like being. But with Advait, I think I have like a grand sum of 50 photos or 100 photos in like 2.5 years.
Ouch.
So, so so yeah, so that's the honest truth. But as with all second kids, I feel like we've got this down. It's okay if he has a cold, big deal. It's babies' noses. They will run. Babies have noses and they will run. That's the nature of the baby's noses. I'm like more wiser, more calmer, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's raising himself.
Yeah. And what's the dynamic between the two kids? Is there a special bond that you see, or is there sibling rivalry? Or what is it like?
So Meera wanted a sister desperately.
Oh my God.
Okay, and I kept telling her, Meera, it's like a 50-50 toss up. You really don't know what you're going to get. You can wish for a sister, but there's really no saying what you're going to get. And it was a brother, but still she was like super happy. There's this photo of her visiting me for the first time, and we called her from school, right? Like we picked
Yeah.
her up half day from school, and she's still in her school uniform, and she's like beaming. You can see the wrinkles, like you can see the laugh lines near her eyes. She's grinning from ear to ear, and she's holding this baby. Like I absolutely like I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah.
It was really sweet. As they've grown older, like I could see Meera feel like, oh, all the attention is going away from
Yeah.
her just a little bit. So me and Vishy kind of made a pact that, one of us always kind of focuses on Meera. Like we'd never let her feel that way. That's also Vishy kind of over compensating for him being the older child in his
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
I'm a single kid, so I really don't know like how this feels like. So he's like, I will be the focus on Meera,
Yeah.
right? I was like, sure, you do that. And so now, now that he's 2.5, what I see is they both love each other a lot, but
Mm.
they have like really idiotic, sorry,
No.
weird ways of showing it to each other, right? They basically Adu keeps backing Meera like all the time,
Yeah.
and she keeps going and instigating him to like getting hit, right? I'm not victim blaming her, but that's exactly what she does,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And she'll know that she'll get hit by him if she does something, and she will do that, right? And she knows that that's what is going to happen, but she will do it. And she, because she's the kind soul that she is, she'll get hit and she won't even retaliate. She won't even say anything to him, right? She'll just be like this. So that is Meera and Advait's relationship in like not a nutshell.
And Vaishnavi, you have mentioned that Meera's early days were a bit turbulent, and then that you might have had postpartum depression. Can you share with us what that time was like for you, and how did things have blossomed eventually into something beautiful between the two of you?
So I think after Meera was born, I had to go back to the hospital because I had like a something called a puerperal infection, which is like
Yeah.
basically like a uterus infection, which is really scary and very painful. I came back home. In fact, that was, I would say, more painful than like the childbirth itself. Is so horrible. Came back home. Basically, it was 2015. I was in a job that I liked.
Hmm.
I was in a job that I liked, and I, even during the pregnancy, I kept telling that, like, my life is going to change absolutely, like completely, totally, unrecognizably so. And I told Vishy, your life is not going to change, and it's so unfair. And I
Yeah.
felt like that kept building up so much.
Yeah.
Then Meera was born, and what I realized, at least initially, till the time I figured out my online tribe and like everyone kind of telling me that, you don't have to be like stuck to a room.
Yeah.
I was breastfeeding Meera, and I was hell bent that I was going to do that.
Yeah.
Initially, there were lots of struggles,
Mm-hmm.
but it was such a beautiful journey eventually. But
Mm.
the first 6 weeks were like, this is a family friend who's a doctor who told me this. The first 6 weeks after getting a baby home, imagine that baby to be an alien who's just come to Earth, right?
Yeah.
That alien has no clue what the hell is happening on Earth, and you have no clue how to, watch this or babysit this alien. So it'll take 6 weeks for both of you to adapt, right?
Yeah.
And the first weeks, no matter what anyone tells you about how beautiful it is going to be to
Yeah.
have a baby, the first 6 weeks are going to be horrendous,
Yeah.
right? Be prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
So the first 6 weeks were understandably hard. At least I had like this mental preparation somewhere, like
Yeah.
tiny little bit. But breastfeeding establishment was really tough. But after that, I felt like that feeling of me like constantly, like I'm like this, there's this human being constantly stuck to me.
Yeah.
I think like my husband used to go to work. I had 3 months of maternity break. I got to work from home. In hindsight, I feel like so blessed and so lucky to have been
Yeah.
in a very supportive workplace that allowed me flexibility till I was like 12, 15 months. I was with Deloitte, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Extremely supportive, right? Extremely so. I had wonderful managers who were like super kind. But what for me personally, like that on a career front, things were okay.
Yeah.
Like I got all the support that I needed. But at home, I just felt like, oh my God, I am just like
Yeah.
tethered to this person,
Yeah.
right? My
Yeah.
life has changed. Yours is not. There's
Yeah.
so much resentment and anger. And that's why I feel like I had postpartum. Like,
Yeah.
I was just so angry for a very, very long time, right?
Yeah.
I was just angry and resentful, right?
Yeah.
Not towards the baby so much,
Yeah.
but I felt like it was more directed towards this partner, Vishy, who is absolutely the best partner that I can wish, pray, whatever for,
Yeah.
right? And this is a man who's trying to do everything in his power to be supportive, to do like, more than
Yeah.
50% everything. Right.
Yeah.
But I was so angry. I was just a bundle of anger.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and there was no way for me to come out of it until like one day me and Rishi had this heart to heart. And I still remember we were in Bombay. We were in a Bombay kitchen. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
what Bombay kitchens are like. They're like really narrow.
Yeah.
And they basically all builders try to make it as small as possible.
Yeah.
The kitchens. So we were sitting across this kitchen and we were rolling potatoes and onions across the room. And Vishy said, you know what? I feel like you're so angry all the time. And I feel like I don't know what to do. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I am doing like what I think I can, but it's not my fault that,
Yeah.
there's a child that depends on you, that you have chosen to breastfeed,
Yeah.
right? Um, these are choices that you have made and
Yeah.
you want to stick to. I respect that, but this is not sustainable. We can't
Yeah.
uh, like we can't be like, flatmates and roommates.
Yeah.
Like I come in and I go, and you can't be so angry all the time,
Yeah.
right? And we have to find a way to kind of sort this out, right?
Yeah.
Like if we continue like this, we'll just continue like this,
Yeah.
right? Like there is no end to this. So
Right.
unless both of us kind of put in the work and make that effort, it's just going to continue like this. Right?
Yeah.
And this is I remember this day like so vividly. And from that point onwards, I was like, okay, like I have to make this conscious choice,
Yeah.
right? It's truly not his fault.
Yeah.
Like, like my life has changed or his life is not changed.
Yeah.
Everyone is trying to make the best out of this situation,
Yeah.
right? So I felt like that was not like a very child, like, generally
Yeah.
postpartum depression is a lot around like the kids. And I
Yeah.
felt like for me, it manifested a lot around how like my relationship with my partner.
Yeah.
And I don't think too many people talk about this,
Yeah.
right? and your relationship changes.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute truth. You become more transactional as a couple,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's, and as your kid grows older, and that is more and more true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
आज
There
डब्बा
is just
बना
no
है, let
space
the
and
child wake up.
time. Yeah.
Yes,
Like to, have those fillers, so to
yes,
say. There is just so much to do. You like get to it.
yeah. You just move to the next task,
Yeah.
right? So it was just like a adjustment almost mentally. So
Yeah.
the second time around, I was like so much more equipped and prepared for this feeling to kind of wash over me. But
Yeah.
also, I honestly didn't have the mind space and bandwidth to feel sad, depressed, anything the second time
Yeah.
around. Like,
Yeah.
I absolutely like one machine the second time around.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And was there, you mentioned, your journey the second time around, but even though you were fully prepared and then you didn't have the time because of the professional pressures that you had, was there anything that surprised you about being a mom the second time around?
I think this is every second time parent will kind of tell you this. Just more chilled out, right? Like, I wouldn't say I was ever, even the first time around, I wouldn't say I was a paranoid parent, but I was a parent who said that I have to figure it out. I
Yeah.
have to figure out everything,
Yeah.
right? The second time around, I was like, I don't have to figure out everything.
Yeah.
There are people who can help me figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
There is only so much this brain can take,
Yeah.
right? It's okay. So the second time around, I did not even attempt to breastfeed,
Yeah.
right? Like okay, the first few days, okay, for like feeling like a regular mom, I did, but I didn't decide before I had Advait that I was going to formula feed him. But in that moment, it just felt like the right decision for myself,
Yeah.
for the lack of better words. Like,
Yeah.
if I had done the breastfeeding journey all over again, yes, it would have been so much better for my child, but it would not have been the right move for me. I
Yeah.
was holding more space for myself. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's such a, aware and beautiful way of putting it, that you can't be there for your children if you are not fully there. Like,
Hmm.
and you chose to be. And anyway, with the pressures that are building up in the environment, there is that part of you which you want to preserve so that you can be fully present for your child when you are physically there or when you are emotionally there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This
And
time, that was the difference.
yeah, yeah. And I found your birth stories also very interesting, Vaishnavi. Could you tell us a little about them? You've had two very, very different experiences. You said Meera's was a medicated vaginal birth at the hospital, and Advait's was at a midwifery center. So, could you tell us how did those impact you as a person, and were they conscious choices, and what brought them on?
So both time doctors have asked me, "Do you have a birth plan?" Both time I've said no, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so so there, that way, at least I think, even in 2015, I think I had a really lovely doctor who asked me, whether, like, what do you want to do? Like, so I have this. It's a personal quirk or mental like thing,
Yeah.
but in my opinion, like, surgery हुआ, body का warranty चला गया. Okay. So it's like a really weird quirk. So I was like, I just want like a vaginal birth. I'm not going to say natural birth because all
Yeah.
births are natural. That's fine. Right. So I was very, very clear about that. And I was willing to put in the work for it, right? Like, and the first time around, I was in pristine physical health, right? I like absolutely like pristine physical health, and I had Meera really early. I was only 26,
Yeah.
right? So I was like absolute peak
Hmm.
physical health, and I was in a job that was really nice. So
Yeah.
like mentally also I was like really super chilled out in life. I like both my births, I went, very, very happily. Like the second time around, yes, there was more pressure, but I was like, I sent selfies to people. I was like, oh, I'm going, bye. In fact, with Meera, we went with like a set of 5 friends to the
Wow.
hospital. Okay. Like we were all like, we went together to the hospital like one day before, painting nails, and it was like lots of fun.
Yeah.
Then reached the hospital, but I didn't know any better, like in all honesty, right?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say like, oh, my rights were violated or anything like that. It
Yeah.
was just I didn't know any better. That's it. But I was also very like, I wasn't against epidural. I was
Yeah.
like, give me the drugs. you know
Yeah.
anything. I wasn't against it, but I didn't have it down on a plan that like it should or should not be there. But the
Yeah.
only thing I did not want was the inducing part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And Meera was induced, right? It was a
Oh,
I
okay.
decided to go to the hospital on a particular date because she's going to be induced. I don't know what, there was no reason, because I was already like 38, 39 weeks. There was no sign of labor. There was no indication for
Yeah.
an induction, at least in retrospect, I feel that way,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I could have waited till the 40th week or for the labor to kick off on its
Yeah.
own,
Yeah.
but that didn't happen. So that was like the issue number one, according to me, in retrospect.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't know any better. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold anyone like, like hostage or accountable for it. Then labor progressed. The second thing that epidural, I was for it at that point, like
Yeah.
I said already. Then the third part of it was the pitocin, which I think labor was progressing well. There was no indication for a pitocin to be added to my this thing, and it made me super uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
like, what pitocin basically does to you is basically it accelerates your labor, right? Like
Uh,
to an unnatural speed.
yeah.
The way I would describe labor is that it is never at, yes, it is painful, of course. Like there are all these horrific, like, videos that we've all seen in like popular media, but I always feel like, natural labor progresses. It is never more than what
You can take.
you can deal with, right? Yes, it is excruciating, but it is not like beyond your ability, is what
Yeah.
I'd say. Like that's why labor also progresses slowly, right? It
Yeah.
starts like with minor period like contractions, then it progresses. Like
Yeah.
you have time, your body has time to adapt to
Yeah.
that
It
entire
builds up.
process. Yeah,
Yeah.
it builds up, right? But pitocin, what it basically does is it like puts it on
A fast
rocket
track.
fuel,
Yeah.
right? And like you basically get the shakes, and it's like you feel out of control, for the lack of better words. I did not like that part at all, right? And then there's, of course, like you're hooked up to IV lines. I hate needles of all kinds.
Yeah.
You're like, you have what is that, you catheter, and like
Yeah.
it's not comfortable. You're not allowed to move, you're not allowed to eat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's because in the off chance that you might need to have a
Cesarean.
C-section.
Yeah.
All good medical precautions,
Yeah.
but in that moment it feels like you're not in control,
Yeah.
right? And what happens when you move into active labor is suddenly there is like, if you've been in a traditional hospital, suddenly there are like 7 people that rush into one room, and you're like, you have no clue what is happening. And there are people giving you instructions, and then there are people like, huh, this is normal, like there's a lot of talking to, and there are people who are checking, suddenly like
Yeah.
um, all kinds of things are happening to you, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
like almost no time to soak in what is happening or be in that moment.
Yeah.
This is what I feel like in hindsight,
Yeah.
right? But all is well that ends well. Meera was medicated, but vaginal birth.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say that it was fine, right? Like
Yeah.
there was nothing wrong with that. That's really, really okay. But it's just that my personal wish was no C-section. That was honored. I just don't know why there was a need for induction. Like, I still don't know that, because there's nothing medically indicated, because I had a perfect pregnancy, right? Like, everything was perfect. So there was, I just don't know, like, why that sequence of things. I just felt a little out of control, right? Second time around, I went to a midwifery center. Like, my husband was very particular. I was very particular again that I want to have a vaginal birth, but there were realities this time around. I was much older. I was what, 26 plus 7 kitna hota hai? That's almost 33, 34, right? And more than that, I think my weight had reached a not so great level. And I had zero time to exercise or eat right or like care about myself this time, right? Um, yeah, so I just existed through my pregnancy, right? So, but I was so particular that I wanted to have this. So Vishay had only one ask of me. He said, you find wherever you want, but the only rule is that there needs to be an OT, like an operation theater, and an obstetrician who can perform a C-section if it comes down to it inside the same premises. It cannot be that you have to go out of one place and go to another place in the middle of an emergency. Right? This is the only R, because I was trying to convince him that no, it does, ye sab nahi chahiye, like, haven't women given birth for millennia? This is like, you're trying to make it like a really big deal, but this was his only ask. But he is my partner and I have to respect his wishes, right? It goes both ways. He has to respect my wishes, I have to respect his wishes. So that led me down a path, and I found a place in Bangalore that kind of does that. And I think the care there was really simple. And I had gone to multiple gynecologists. I hadn't even figured out who was going to be my final gynecologist. When I went there, I just felt very respected, even during the process of, prenatal visits. There were no internal exams. If you've been through one, it's horrible. It's like, you'll never want to go through it voluntarily, right? So that was respected. There were very few visits, like, it's to start with, there was just like monthly visits, because if you go to a traditional hospital, you know how often you end up going and how many scans you end up, needing. So all of that was lesser. And so I really respected that. And at some point they asked me for my birth plan. I was like, all I care is, like, I know I'm not in the best of shape right now, right? But what I can give you is 100% commitment that I will try my damnedest. I'll put in all my efforts. But I need you to absolutely not give up on me till the point where it's like, one of us is at risk, right? This is my only wish out of this, right? Beyond this, I'm willing to try water birth. Willing to try whatever you want. Right? Like, I am going to go with the flow. Right? Like, as the topic of my book suggests, I'm going to go with the flow. So, like I said, I was pitching to an investor. I was in early labor. So we waited for labor to start on its own. Went to the hospital. They said, go back. It's too early for you to come. Right? It's too early for you to come in, because, once you're here, then we'll monitor you more closely. Like, it could lead to a cascade of intervention. So go back home. But I was like, I won't go back home. I cannot. I'm telling you, I'm in labor. I'm just like standing there and bawling my eyes out. They're like, no, you're not there. It'll take a lot of time. I was like, no, you have to believe me. So Vishy said, okay, let's start driving back home. We were driving back home. We reached home. My daughter was like Meera was all tense. My parents were here. And I had a bloody show as soon as I reached home. So I was like, okay, chalo, let's go back. Right? On our way back home, we stopped at a McDonald's. We had burgers, right? And then we went to the hospital. And then they were like, okay, fine, it's still too early, but now that you've come back, like, I'm not sending you back home now again, not in Bangalore traffic. And I got admitted. And because that place was brand new, okay, so we were like the fourth birth at that center, right? Risk taker. Right? And the good thing was I was the only person there. So I had all the attention to
Tension.
myself.
Yeah.
The nurses were just fabulous. I had no IV line, no nothing,
Mm.
right? I was walking around the entire night.
Yeah.
Every time there were contractions, there would be someone who just, come and like put some pressure on my back. I
Yeah.
had dark chocolate, I still remember, right? Walking around in the night, like when I was feeling hungry.
Yeah.
Um, and at some point, they're like, I think you should sleep because I feel like this is going to get done by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. This
Wow.
was at around 10:30, 11,
Yeah.
and I went to bed. I I honestly didn't see any of this hypnobirthing video, nothing. I had no time to look at all of that, right? But I just was listening to one of those hypnobirthing videos when I was just trying to sleep. I actually fell asleep. My water broke.
Oh.
Um, then on its own, right? Like this
Yeah.
is without intervention. And then slowly it started building,
Yeah.
right? Again, I was still walking around.
Yeah.
I was still walking around and I was fine. And at around 6:37, they were like, okay, it's time.
Yeah.
Okay. And at no point, there was exactly one internal exam done during this
Yeah.
process,
Mm.
which is so respectful. Then we move, I walked to the labor room, right?
Uh-huh.
And there were like all these equipment. There was birthing ball, there was things to hold on to. They're like, do you want to lie down on your side? Because I was heavy, I was
Yeah.
not able to lie down on my side. I was just like, I moved into active labor. It was really like it was starting to become super intense. They
Yeah.
said, would you want to get inside water? Because like, it'll make you feel lighter,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So so I was like, okay, I'm willing to try anything. Just at that point, I know that I was in active labor because this happened the first time around also.
Yeah.
I said, just tell me what to do now.
Yeah.
Right? You reach that point. Don't ask me
Yeah.
questions. Just tell me what to do now, right? And still they were like super respectful. And I was like, okay, fine, let's just get into water. And I have never felt more like it was hard, but
Mm.
I still remember that last push. I felt so empowered. Okay. Like I
Yeah.
felt like I am doing, I was in some zone.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I was in a zone. Like I did not know who was next to me.
Yeah.
Right. Like I literally did not know like A from B from C next to me. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The room was dark. Okay. I was inside warm water.
Yeah.
I did not know A from B. I was doing this because I was doing this for myself.
Yeah.
There was no one else,
Yeah.
right? It was very empowering. It was extremely empowering,
Yeah.
right? Like I felt like I could do anything,
Yeah.
right? Uh, but on a funny note, both the times I delivered, Vishy head was gone for tea.
Oh.
The first time around, like he went down for tea, like there's a big hospital. And at that time they prescribed the Pitocin and I moved into active labor, so they had to find him. And this time it was at 6:30 and someone and it was like a large room, there was a place for him to sit. And he's asking me, this is before he was there
Yeah.
when Advait was born, but he was in the room.
Yeah.
But when I was in active labor, someone asked him, do you want tea? He fell asleep both the times through the night, by the way. Okay. The first time I was so angry, I was throwing those pressure balls at him, like those
Yeah.
squeezing. I kept throwing it at him to wake him up. But the second time around, I let him sleep, and and he said, "Vesh, I'm gonna have tea. Do you want some?" I was like, this is the second time around. I know I'm sharing like way too much information for like a like out in the world podcast, which will probably kill me. But yeah. So this is what happened in both times around. But second time I felt way more empowered.
Yeah.
I got to hold the baby immediately. They respected my wishes for delayed cord clamping.
Yeah.
It was like I got to eat immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
That was like super amazing.
Yeah.
I just needed that. And both times this happened, I'm sure it has happened to you also. Immediately afterwards, like I still don't remember what happened after the stitches were done. Like I don't know how I got from the labor room to
Yeah.
the. I don't remember it
Yeah.
both times.
Yeah.
I think it was just like
Just the
adrenaline crash.
exhaustions and relief from having done
Yeah.
this. And
Yes. Yes. I think
yes.
it's the adrenaline crash. But both times I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally don't remember. It's like black moments.
Now that you say it, I'm looking back and actually I don't remember it either. I
Yeah.
don't remember it. Even though mine was a C-section, there was no adrenaline in that sense. Yeah, but
Of course,
I
there's
don't.
adrenaline. Are you like, of course, there is.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't remember after how I got from the OT to the pre-labor or whatever that they
Yeah.
call pre-OT, whatever they call that
Yeah.
room. I don't remember how I got there.
I
And
think that'll be the same for everyone, I think.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so this was what it was. And Addu was a big baby. He was 3.8 kgs when he was born.
Wow. Wow.
And Meera was a very tiny baby. She was no, she was not even 3 point. She was 2.8.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vishy sounds like a fantastic partner, Vaishnavi. Your best friend, really. I love how you describe him as the non-transactional, calmer parent who truly sees you as an equal. How you've told us one part about how it happened when Meera was born, but how has the relationship evolved during the years? Oh, and firstly, how did you two meet, and what's your story?
We met for the first time during one like internship.
Yeah,
Um, and then we lost touch. Then we got back in touch. And yeah, and when I moved to Bombay for a job, and I think things just got kicked off from there. And we never like really said that, oh, we are going to marry each other, or like
yeah,
nobody proposed to nobody. It was just like, ye hone wala hai.
yeah,
Right? And that's like, so we've been like very practical people.
Mhm.
Like we are both like, we are two very practical people is what I'd say, who've come together. And we come from very similar upbringings.
Mhm.
Okay. So that also helped massively.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't underestimate, similar upbringings, like similar value systems,
yeah,
as like a very key factor in like finding a really great partner. Like I think there's been enough said on Twitter and all kinds of places about how important it is to find the right partner,
yeah,
like how critical of a life decision that is.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think in more ways than one, I think both of us lucked out.
Hmm.
For a long time, like, the friends think of reacher and this thing, always think about it. But I think in our case, it's actually a case of equals.
Yeah,
And I cannot, like, I have seen so many like of my friends, like peers, like colleagues, having partners, like not so many up close, of course. Like I'm not like, I don't know enough like about enough
yeah,
people to use, but I can talk about Vishy that I have not known a guy who walks the talk
yeah,
on, like, being treated and like talking the equality game. It matters a lot to me.
yeah,
I come from a family where like both my parents have always been working. I've seen my parents kind of share the load,
yeah,
right? Always, right? And he doesn't come from a family like that,
yeah,
right? But so it takes a lot of conditioning for himself and a lot of conscious choice
yeah,
for him to do that, right?
yeah,
And he's chosen to do that, and that's the first big thing, right? And he treats me as an absolute equal,
yeah,
right? He feels the need to contribute like more than equally to the household, right? He cooks better than me,
hmm.
right? There have been like, I used to like cooking. He's a very picky eater, so I was like, okay, if you want to like really be that picky, you can make your own food, and he actually did, right? So that's what it is.
Yeah,
And he walks the talk, and it's not just about cooking, right? Like about everything. Like
yeah,
he loves keeping house. I hate it,
yeah,
right? Right? And I'm not only talking about like traditional roles, like
Yeah,
even
yeah,
from a work point of view, right? When he like there's a lot of he'll come to me, ask me for like, my opinions on something that's
uh,
happening at his work. He's like a super high achiever at work,
yeah.
right? um I have been a go with the flow person, right? So that's me. But so he's that person, so when he comes and asks me honestly, right,
Yeah.
like, how do you think I should navigate this, right?
uh,
It is just like this, you feel equal,
Yeah.
for the lack of
Yeah.
better words,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
uh with respect to kids, like I have no other words, right? So he is the fun parent,
Mhm.
even when it comes to Meera, to teaching her things, like with schoolwork, right?
Yeah.
I have, so Vishy says I have two modes with Meera, either begging or yelling. Please do this, or go like, Meera! Right? Like one of these modes. And he always makes it more fun, right? Like
Yeah.
she'll sit with him for like hour and two, but with me, she'll like, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 17 minutes, right? And that never kind of ends. But with him, she'll sit for it. They go on vacations. Meera and Vishy have gone on
Really?
road trips. They've gone to Kabini together. They've
Wow.
gone on like road trips to Coimbatore, like where his parents live. Like they go on their own.
Yeah.
They go to, I think Meera and Vishy must have some kind of seasons patrons award or something from Bangalore Zoo and the Delhi Zoo, because every alternate week they'd be there, right?
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right? And Prani pet sanctuary. So
Yeah.
they do a lot of things together, right?
Yeah.
And there was a time in her previous school, I had enrolled her for like one of those dabba services,
Yeah.
and she was not eating at all. And she was like, and I was like, let her just suck it up. She will learn that, that she'll not get only things of her choice.
Yeah.
10 days, she's going to starve herself, then she'll eat. She'll
Yeah.
eat on her own. Right? It's not like it's bad food. I've checked. It's
Yeah.
tasty food, healthy. It's just may have components that she may not be very fond of. This man has woken up at 6 o'clock and made dabba for her for like a year and a half.
Wow.
Right? Right. So, and because daughter is not eating
Yeah.
outside dabba,
Yeah.
right? So that is the relationship, and that is the kind of bond that they share.
Yeah.
Vishy for Advait is like absolute hero. Appa
Uh-huh.
can do it, like literally that my daddy's strongest, right? Like the
Yeah.
Dhara ad. So
Yeah.
he is like that
Yeah.
for Appa. Like if all hell breaks loose, Appa is the only human who can calm Advait down, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So they also share like a really unique bond. So with Meera, which she always says the first 3 years he was in a very hectic job, right?
Yeah.
So like, he always says, I feel like I missed out on Meera's, like, that those years. And I always feel, he always says, I will never let that happen. I feel like his work life priorities is also like, evolved over a period of time since he's become a parent. You
Yeah.
know, he says that, yeah, I do really well at my job. So what? Like, but
Yeah.
for me, this is
Yeah.
really important to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, this is like really, really important to me. So, like if Akka takes leave, so I had joined a job like after Nestri had shut, like I joined immediately. So he had taken a longer break, more self-aware individual
Yeah.
than I am. I should have done this break then, but I didn't. But he during that break, like when Akka used to be on leave, he'd be like he can easily solo parent two kids,
Yeah.
like without breaking a sweat.
The
So
more
that's
effortless.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But that's him, right? Like that's him. It's not effortless. That's the thing, right? It
yeah.
is effort that he is choosing to put,
Yes. Yes.
which is so important and so critical.
Yeah.
And I feel like more and more parents are becoming like that, like
Yeah.
especially dads. I see that, and I feel so nice about it.
Yeah.
Like earlier, like when Meera was a kid, I would see fathers in the park only on Saturday, Sundays,
Yeah.
right? like it's a thing.
Yeah.
Then because on those days, moms will like, please take my child away for some time from me,
Yeah.
right? But I see that reversing actively,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So all of those are good changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, more than an equal co-parent
Yeah.
and more than an equal partner
Mhm.
is my vision.
Beautiful and very,
All
very aspirational, Vaishnavi. I think you've truly, truly lucked out. And both of you, not just you, he
yeah.
has also lucked out in
And
finding.
guess what? For 4.5 years, we spent 24 hours together. Like he was
Wow.
my co-founder at the
Yeah.
nursery.
Yeah.
So we worked as well together,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my God.
So,
But
and
how
even
was that like? How was that like working with him?
it was absolutely amazing. What I am good at, he's okay at, and what he's good at, I can't even think of doing. So it works.
Great, great. And now you are on a break, you said. What's going on now? How are you finding your days? What do you do generally? What fills your time?
So this is literally a self-care break for
Mm-hmm.
me. Like I
Yeah,
said, Vishy took that break immediately after the nursery shutdown.
yeah,
But I did not take that break. And I had told you around the time when Adu was born, like my
yeah,
weight was on the higher side, and that led to a whole host of things that were happening to me. And basically, I was at super low energy. I just needed to take care of my health. That's it. Right. So I had reached a point of no return, like in
yeah,
terms of my health, both physical and mental. And I just felt like I needed to hit pause
yeah,
sometime. Right. So I think I've overachieved on that front.
yeah,
Right. No, so I've spent the last 5 months literally like dropping weight,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I have done that, and I have started therapy for myself,
yeah,
which is massively helpful. Like I said, I was literally pouring from an empty cup
yeah.
in all fronts,
Mm.
right? So the cup is on its way to getting full. I wouldn't
Wow.
say it's there.
Yeah,
But I am so much more of a present parent.
yeah,
I am so much more of a present partner. I'm
yeah,
so much more of a present human being
yeah.
in general right now. Um, that's where I am right now. I literally don't know what next. I'm open, but I don't know what next. I
Yeah,
absolutely like I'm trying to figure that out.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's where I am.
Yeah. And one good thing about all of this, like what I can see is that, at least there is no seeming anxiety about, what comes next. And I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful way to be that you are somewhere at peace with where you are currently, not fretting too much about what comes next.
I was very anxious as soon as the break started.
Yeah.
Which I was told by everyone around me is crazy because I had taken the break for self-care and they're
Yeah.
like, it's been 2 days.
Yeah.
You can't think about what next in 2 days.
Yeah.
So calm down. But since then, I actually made a conscious choice. And I had told myself 3 months, right? Like, I'm going to take a break for 3 months. I'm going to take a break for 3 months. And it's been 5 months now.
Yeah.
What I have learned is that anxiety is not there because I have given myself more time,
Yes.
right? Right. I have decided that that's why I said the chapter where I am is trying to find direction, like in which to flow,
Yeah.
right? I have decided that it will come to me, right? There are so many things that I have done,
Yeah.
right? There are few, of course, areas of interest,
Yeah.
but which one it is will come to me with absolute clarity in its time. And
Yeah.
I am not going to panic because it's going to be a long break on my
Yeah.
CV. I am
Resuming.
not
Yeah.
going to panic because, well, I'm in the prime of my career.
Yeah.
Um, I am just going to be
Yeah.
for something,
Yeah.
right?
That's, yeah. I think that's actually empowering. That's to me as a listener, your this state of mind is more empowering than the birth story that you shared with us, because this sounds like you are in the zone completely. And I'm sure this has come from months and months of self-care and also therapy and all of those things put together. And do you get more time with your kids now? And how's it, being with them full time at home, what it is like?
Certainly, I get more time. Though earlier used to not care whether I'm at home or not. He's very chilled out baby, like I said, raising
Yeah,
himself. He used to be like, okay, bye, and not care. Now
yeah,
he realizes when I'm leaving and he cares.
yeah,
That's the difference that has happened. But apart from that, he's still raising himself.
yeah,
Um, he is an easy baby too, right? He's just very
yeah,
high energy.
yeah,
I get to like more importantly during this break, I have the energy to spend time with him,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like it's not always about the time,
yeah,
it's about the energy, right? Like you need
yeah,
to have something in you
yeah,
to be able to kind of actively spend that time, right?
yeah,
Earlier I may have had the time, but
yeah,
either I didn't have the mental bandwidth or like simply the physical energy.
yeah, yeah,
But now I have it. That is the difference, right?
yeah,
Like I said, I'm a more present parent,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Like even with my daughter, I don't lose my temper as much, right?
yeah,
Like the skill that I had when she was a child to think from her point of view, right, has come back. Is now, I wouldn't say fully, but it's at least coming back,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
I recognize when she's trying to push my buttons, and kids do, right?
yeah,
And it's the truth,
yeah,
right? And like I am not getting drawn into that game,
yeah,
right? Like I am able to find better ways to communicate boundaries.
yeah,
I am able to find better ways to be there for her, ask the right questions to her,
yeah,
right? I have energy. Like that's the biggest game changer for me.
right,
Right?
right,
I was physically and mentally fatigued beyond reason.
yeah, yeah,
Right? The last 5 months have given me that for me to spend more time with my kids.
yeah, yeah.
That is the difference.
Yeah, that's so insightful, because I think it makes complete sense what you said. We might have the most time in the world, but if we don't have the energy and the bandwidth to be present fully in the moment, I think it's all a losing game. Yeah. And Vaishnavi, now I want to talk about something practical that, I hope many parents can relate to. And you said you wanted to speak about this, the journey of weaning. You breastfed Meera for 3 years, is it? And
Yeah,
then chose not to breastfeed Advait. So there were two very, very different
yeah. They
feeding
were.
journeys. Yeah,
Yes. So with Meera is so beautiful, I cannot even tell you.
mm,
So around the time she was two and a half, she had already stopped nursing through the day, maybe once or
yeah,
twice, and at night it was non-stop. But I had reached a point where I was feeling very touched out, and like I was
yeah,
like, I was I was not there, right? Like I was not in it. And at that point, at around two and a half, I kept telling her, that Meera will do your birthday party at 3, like Meera big birthday party, and at that time, Dudu will stop,
yeah,
right? Dudu will stop. Where you have to like, and I kept telling her every single time we nurse,
yeah,
every single time. This is a 6-month process, right?
yeah.
This is not like a
One day.
overnight.
Yeah,
It's not that. So 6 months I kept telling her that this is what is going to happen, and her birthday came,
yeah,
right? We had a birthday party, all her friends left home, and suddenly Meera is nowhere to be seen. There are all these gifts in the hall, but Meera is nowhere to be seen. I go find her in a room that was designated as hers. Of course she
yeah,
wasn't sleeping there or anything, but she was just sitting very quietly, right?
yeah,
She wasn't like doing, she's thinking,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I asked her, Miru, what's happening? She said, do stop. Right?
Oh,
Yeah, it was very goosebumpy, right? And then she never asked for it.
oh my
And she
God.
asked me that night, and I said, Miru, do stop, birthday over. She stopped.
Oh my God. Oh
That's
my
what I
God.
mean. The mirror super easy.
Yeah,
Kind of
I'm having
instant
goosebumps, Vaishnavi.
yeah, it was so beautiful. With Adu, he's on the bottle, and he was nowhere close to letting it go.
Yeah.
So with Adu, we had to be slightly more tricksy.
Yeah.
Uh, we told him that the shop uncle, there was a shop uncle, mythical shop uncle, who had to take the bottles. Um, but he's also much older. By the time we should have already,
Yeah.
ideally, we should have already gotten rid of the bottle, but we weren't able to. And told him the shop uncle has to take your bottles and give it to small babies,
Yeah.
right? There are smaller babies who need it,
Yeah.
and we can't, like, he said that you have grown older and you don't need Dudha anymore, so you are able to do this on your own. So again, overnight stopped.
Wow. Wow.
Both the kids overnight stopped, but these were the tricks.
Yeah.
One was long term, one was overnight, but both were gentle.
Yeah.
Initially,
Yeah.
like, the doctor had recommended that I use Femite on the
Yeah.
bottle so that, like, it tastes so bitter. I bought the Femite, but I couldn't bring myself to use it.
Yeah.
And I knew that it wasn't good for him, mainly because he was falling ill often. Like, it was a lot of stomach distress, like
Yeah.
a lot of loose motions and vomiting that was happening every month. It is all like gone away now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew that I had to do it, but I was just like holding on for my own, again, my own sanity at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
So he's actually sleeping through the night.
Yeah, I'm sure because this sounds, and I think your decision to not go with Femite, and even though it might seem, to some people like you're being stubborn or whatever they might want to call it, but I think it was such a graceful way of doing it because the kids took it so well. If the kids hadn't taken so well to it, it would have been termed whatever it could have been. But I think the kids really, kind of stood up to the occasion and just embraced your, whatever you wanted them to do. And it is
Yes.
credit where it's due. And I truly think the kids have uh,
It's
behaved very,
not
very
me, but
maturely.
I think just reinforcing and giving prior notice,
Yeah,
basically giving them a semblance of choice.
yeah,
Like, a lot of times, like, even my parents will say that, why are you giving choice and all to such a small child? You
yeah,
know, like, stop giving choices so early on, right?
yeah,
Like, they don't need to know, like, whether they'll wear this dress or that dress. It
yeah,
doesn't matter. You tell them what to wear,
yeah,
right? But I have always found that giving notice,
yeah,
whether it's going out somewhere, whether it's some like life changing thing for them, or
yeah,
anything, giving prior notice, reinforcing it again and again, right? And, like, just giving the feeling that they have some choice in the matter.
yeah,
Like, they may not actually have choice,
yeah,
but giving them the feeling of choice absolutely defines how receptive kids are
yeah.
to whatever you say.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And Vaishnavi, looking back, do you think you have learned something which unexpected or which you didn't expect to learn from your kids, both of them or either of them?
Mm, with Meera, I already told you this. Just be more of an advocate,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
people may have 100 opinions, but
yeah,
you are the parent for
yeah,
this child. There
yeah,
is nobody else who will stand up for this child except you,
yeah,
right? Being an advocate for my child, that is what Meera taught me. I didn't know I had it in me,
yeah,
right? So that was what Meera taught me. Meera also gave me the courage to kind of start the nursery,
yeah,
right? Like, made me, like, I have severe imposter syndrome in anything that I do, but this was the one role where I did not feel imposterly,
yeah,
and gave me enough courage to kind of do that. And that's a journey that I really enjoyed, like, with all its ups and all its downs,
yeah,
right? And so that's with Meera. With Advait, I just didn't know that a human being could move so much and could get hurt so much. right? Right?
Yeah.
It's like if I don't go to the doctor every month, the doctor's like, "ये महीने कुछ नहीं हुआ इसको." Right? There's burns, there is like horrendous like scrapes.
Oh
It's
God.
like it's kind of endless with Advait. I didn't even know like a person's pain threshold could be this high.
Yeah.
That's what I learned, that babies' pain thresholds are really high. He has a burn, and when he gets angry at us, he digs it and makes sure that it
Oh,
doesn't heal.
oh
Right?
God.
Yeah. So yeah, so that is that kid. So I learned that kids have very high pain threshold, or at least
Yeah.
Adu does.
Yeah, yeah. And is there something small but impactful, maybe a moment or series of moments that have happened that really stayed with you? Something maybe that changed your perspective or made you feel a very deeper connection with your kids?
Mm, Meera keeps saying that when she grows up,
Hmm.
she is going to restart the nestry, that she's
Oh
going to be
my
the CEO
God.
of the nestry, and she'll give me a job there.
Oh my God.
Right? Um, I didn't know, like I knew that she's observing a lot of things that were happening, but
Yeah.
I didn't know at one point she knew at least like the first part of my pitch deck by heart,
Oh
right?
my God.
So I didn't know that that's how much of an impact. Like
Yeah.
she knows that the nestry is closed now. She
Yeah.
knows that when she grows up, she says, "I want to become an entrepreneur, Amma. I want to become an entrepreneur." Can't say the word, but that's what she wants to be.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I know that my actions have an impact,
Yeah.
right? That I am a role model, whether or not I believe it myself or not,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that is certainly one,
Yeah.
right? Uh, with Adu, it's too early to call.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. And now we are coming to a close to our conversation, Vaishnavi. I have two more questions for you before I let you go. So, first of them is imagine if you could sit across your pre-parent self, knowing everything that you know now. So, is there any advice or words of wisdom that you would give yourself back then?
This is what I give every to be parent as well,
Yeah,
right? Like take help with both hands,
yeah,
right? Do not feel bad for asking for help.
yeah,
Like, and I don't mean this from like a like just from even from a childcare
yeah,
perspective. You
yeah,
may feel like you want to bathe your child, you want to like do everything for your child yourself,
yeah.
right? If you have the privilege,
Hmm.
right, to be able to get help,
Yeah,
right, do it,
yeah,
right? You cannot do it all.
yeah,
If anyone says that they can,
yeah.
they're either lying or they're literally dying trying to do this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
take help with both hands. Don't even presume that you can do this on your own.
yeah, yeah. And also, you don't need to. There
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
yeah, very, I think very simple yet very difficult to,
Yes.
get and implement. And you have, in a way, answered my last question also, but I'm still going to ask you that if there's one piece of wisdom or insight other than this you'd like to
Mm.
share with our fellow parents, what would it be?
Kids are very resilient.
Hmm.
If you like drop a phone on their head by mistake when you're breastfeeding them, it's okay. Nothing's gonna happen to them, right?
Yeah.
Kids have runny noses all the time. We don't have to rush them to a doctor all the time,
Yeah.
right? It's fine. You got this. Like everyone is screwing this up in some way or the other. Everyone is acing it in some way or the other.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows the other person's complete story. It's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing is fine. Are they fed? Are they alive? Have they got to sleep? You've aced this.
Yeah. Yeah. This sounds wonderful. This sounds really, really wonderful, Vaishnavi. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful and heartfelt stories with us today. Your journey through parenthood, navigating the early turbulence with Meera, embracing the different challenges with Advait, and finding balance amidst it all has been profoundly moving. And I think your reflections on co parenting with Vishy, managing the nestry, and your approach to weaning and reading and formula feeding as part of your family routine offers so much wisdom and encouragement. Your story truly encapsulates the essence of what we aim to share on parenthood: real experiences, deep insights, and the authentic highs and lows of parenthood. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you. And to our wonderful listeners, thank you for being a part of this episode. Your presence here means so much to us, and we hope you found as much inspiration and comfort in Vaishnavi's story as I have. If you enjoyed today's conversation and found it meaningful, please consider sharing this episode with your friends and family. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Your feedback is invaluable and helps to continue bring these heartfelt discussions to you. Also, remember to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content, and more ways to engage with our community. Until next time, keep embracing the beautiful mess of parenthood, and always remember you're doing an amazing job. This is your host, Neha Garg, signing off. Take care, stay kind to yourself, and we'll see you in the next episode.